protest, which started on August 26th, in which he decided to stay seated. Well, he kneeled during the national anthem. And of course, that opened up a whole controversy of why would he do such a thing? And people have had, a lot of people putting their 2 cents in on the reasoning or the rationale as to why he would do it. He mainly wanted to prove a point, of course, start a protest saying that he was not looking for approval. He said, I have to stand up for people who are oppressed and for people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder, quote. So, I know, Reach, you not only, like I said, hip-hop artist, you also are a writer. Why don't you tell everybody who you write for?
So currently I write for a blog called Arrowhead Addict. I have a column that runs every Tuesday.
Have you touched on this since this started?
Not specifically on this. I was asked to write about this on another website.
Oh, okay.
And thus far I haven't really spoken on it. I've kind of been letting it simmer to think about exactly how I want to tackle it.
So what is your overall opinion of him starting this protest?
I think it's always good when athletes are kind of becoming aware of what's happening in the country, and I think they have an excellent platform to speak on those issues. So, I salute the brother for using his platform to really kind of speak out against some of the social injustice that's happening, particularly in a societal climate where people would vilify him for doing so.
Right. So, what angle were you going to go at it whenever you were going to start doing what you were going to write? I know you said you were approached by somebody.
That's tough because there's so many different layers to this discussion. To talk about what it is to be patriotic, to talk about what it is to be American, to talk about what it is to be black in this country and having a black experience in America. There's so many different angles, there's so many different layers to it. That's probably why I really haven't settled on one particular string of the discussion that I want to tackle.
Julu, you are a former veteran, so why don't you just give us a little brief synopsis of your opinion?
Reminder that Mr. Kaepernick himself, even though I totally get his cause. I know what it stands for. Being a black man first before I'm a veteran. Yeah, I know the struggle, which we've gone through years in and years out, and his movement, his protest is long overdue. Long overdue. And in my opinion, 17 years of military service, when I was suffering, when I was fighting to get promotion, when I was turned down, I actually had an opportunity to work in the White House. And I was considered a security risk because I was from Newark, New Jersey. Not because of anything I did, but because I was from Newark, New Jersey, leaving the position open to other white military individuals. Mm-hmm. So I knew very young, at a young age, at the age of 18, 19, what America had in store for me. Mm. But what happened? Okay. what happened with the whole Colin Kaepernick issue? And this is a fight I've been having for a long time. I think we as African Americans or as Black Americans, we forgot. We started to live a life of naive. We were naive to what America had in store for us. We started tattooing our faces like they were doing. We started thinking that we overcame. We started like a wise man once told me. As a matter of fact, Joe Clark from the movie Lean on Me, one of my idols, someone I work with. He said, we've fallen so deeply in love with our masters that we have adopted his ways.
Mm. Wow. Okay.
And that's one thing I never forgot. Working with Mr. Clark is one thing I never forgot. He said, always maintain your identity. Never lose your identity. Sometimes you must play dumb to gain wise. In 17 years of military service, you have to play dumb to gain wise to get to where I got to. So I salute Mr. Kaepernick. And on the flip side of that coin is there's a level of ignorance on both parts.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, they were like, veterans should be offended by what he's doing and this and that. So, that was part of the reason why whenever you reached out and said you want to come on the show, I definitely wanted to get your opinion on what you think like, because, you know, some of them, they might feel like it's slap in the face, but from
Right.
what we've seen, there actually are some veterans who are standing up, who are in solidarity with him.
Right.
So,
Well, you know what? It's those who served for the right reasons. Okay, because even as a veteran myself, even as a higher ranking military official, everything I've done for my country, 6 combat tours, at the end of the day, they were quick to remind me that I'm still black. While in the military, they were quick to remind me that I'm still black. And I struggled like no other because I maintained my identity. So it was always a struggle for me. So like I say, once again, those who are arguing the fact that this man is standing up for his American rights are those who served for the wrong reasons. Okay, how can you serve this country? How can you patronize the flag and then turn around and tell someone that, you know, he has no rights in America? You know, and the last regime that tried that was the Hitler regime. I tell you, they shun patriotism. You know, they had what they consider selective patriotism, where you had to patronize what they said you should patronize, and that's where America's headed right now.
right.
You know, so yeah, I totally salute him, and I salute anyone, as a matter of fact, anyone who has free speech in America. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. This is America. You know,
Right.
this is
That's
America.
true.
So no, we can't shut that man up. I support him.
What about you, Angela?
Well, when it all came down, first of all, I follow a lot of sports, especially football. And one of my family members is a very big San Francisco 49ers fan, and her favorite player happens to be Colin Kaepernick. And what people are missing, a lot of people are missing, is that this protest, this, I hate the word woke, but this,
Stay
this
woke.
this awakened sense of consciousness that has arisen in him actually has been going on for quite some time. If you followed him on Instagram, if you followed him on Twitter, he's been talking about it. America at large, because of some very innocuous question from somebody from NFL.com, caught up. He had been talking about this. It's just that he finally got to the point where it's like, you know what? And the other part that I want to bring up is that one of the liaisons for the 49ers organization is a man by the name of Dr. Harry Edwards. For those who are not familiar with Dr. Harry Edwards, he's a sociologist. He is from UC Berkeley, very highly touted black sociologist who happened to be the architect of what would have been the black boycott of the 68 Olympic Games. The 68 Olympic Games are the games where John Carlos and Tommy Smith raised their fist during the 200 meters medal ceremony in Mexico City.
Oh, okay.
So if you think about all those pieces, this is a man who may not have been completely aware of, you know, everything that was going on, but in counsel with someone with so much tie to the Black Power movement and the civil rights movement, probably came to a realization on his own with the help of all of that, and then finally just decided to protest. He was just going to do it regardless. It's just that people finally caught up. It wasn't that he was doing it for attention, and that's the part that I think people are really missing out on, is that this is not about him trying to get attention. Some detractors are saying, oh, he's trying to get attention because he's now the second string quarterback, which is just sports politics in and of itself. I don't think that's the case. He was very eloquent, very stated, very matter of fact about his arguments. He was very clear about what his intentions were, and I support him 100%. This is something that is not new. This type of protest is not new. This
Right.
is something that has been going on for some time, and he's just taking it. This is just another person in a lineage of protests like this. What I think is really refreshing, actually, is that we ask, especially someone who studied journalism, someone who pays attention to a lot of articles and columnists, and I really, really love reading about that type of stuff. The main thing the media gets annoyed with is the lack of transparency from today's athlete. They want someone authentic. They want someone to speak on the record about things like this. They want someone to speak on the record about the state of social issues and, you know, be able to be transparent. They want those things, but when it happens, you get annoyed by what you don't want to hear.
So once you, because as you know, I'm familiar with football, but not like you are. So why don't you give us a background, like what's going on with his actual career?
Well, right now with his career, he kind of came out of nowhere. There's a Kansas City tie to this.
Okay.
There was our current starting quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, Alex Smith, actually lost his job to Colin Kaepernick. He's the reason why Alex Smith is here. He kind of came out of
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Aha.
So there came his kind of ascendance to popularity. He took the San Francisco 49ers to a Super Bowl. They did lose.
Right.
But he had a brand of athleticism that I guess could be considered like a hybrid quarterback. So he runs, he passes, he comes out of the backfield. He can do a little bit of everything. However, with that, you get hurt, you get contact. So he's had a lot of injuries over the years. He's had changes in coaching and changes in regime in the last few years. So, when you don't have that continuum of familiarity.
Were they talking about trading him at one point in time?
Yes, there was talks of that. There was talks of releasing him. Currently, contractually, he's owed.
Was that
back me up,
65.
well? What year was that? Last year or I thought that was last year. They were saying something or the year.
They were
before
thinking
that.
about possibly trading him last year. I know there was talks of him possibly getting released this summer.
Yeah.
And I think
Okay.
he's owed 19 or 11 million on his contract
Remaining on his
left.
contract, I think about 15 million.
Yeah, so roughly
Right.
he's owed about $15 million, and
Yeah, I know. I saw that they were talking about trading him at one point.
yeah,
in
so
time.
he's a very expensive commodity sitting on the bench.
right.
And that's why I think also people fail to realize he has a lot to lose professionally, because in the NFL, unlike Major League Baseball, unlike the NBA, those contracts are not guaranteed. He can be cut and they don't owe him a dime. So for him to step on a limb on his own, social awareness and his own heart, and thinking that this is bigger than my brand, he could literally not play another down in the NFL. He could literally lose his livelihood. And that is a very important thing, to understand that this is not about attention to try to, get an agenda going to possibly be a starting quarterback. Because if that were the case, the last thing you want to do is be a social rebel rouser of any kind in the NFL, because they want you to keep your mouth shut.
That's why I was thinking like him even stepping out on the limb to do that. He's risking his career, of course, and then we know about nowadays, like if you have endorsements, they quick
Well,
to snatch those.
there's a set of brothers named Michael and Martellus Bennett that did an interview recently for ESPN, and they referred to the NFL as something for lease, and that's very real. There's not really a lot of wiggle room in a league that is ran primarily by older white men, for black men that are young with money and influence to express themselves. So for Colin Kaepernick to do this, it kind of gave other athletes in that league kind of the permission to say, okay, if he does it, I want to do it too. And there's strength in numbers.
We're gonna take our first musical break. We have music from Reach. So this first song is called "Look Again." Why don't you tell us a little background about this song, Reach?
This is a song that I wrote for my last album, so it's essentially talking about how we can get kind of obsessed with people's aesthetics and really kind of miss what people are ultimately worth as human beings. It's kind of a loose tie to what we're talking about today.
Is there any features on there, like any other artists?
No features on this last one. It's all me.
Okay. And you are listening to Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, the urban voice of Kansas City. And this is the Cascade Media Hour. We're going to tune into Look Again by Reach.
The power in player power as far as the rosters are a lot smaller than the NBA. It's a more player-driven league. The guaranteed contracts, they have a lot more clout as players in the NBA, so it gives it a lot more breadth as far as when a Dwayne Wade and LeBron James stand up and say we want to put an end to police brutality against unarmed black men, whereas someone who's on a 53-man roster.
Right.
And the contract is not guaranteed. The contract is not guaranteed. You can be cut at any time, and you play a full contact sport, and your average career is about 5 years. that doesn't give you a lot of time or a lot of place to actually speak up and say something because your job could literally be gone. So it's all about really having the power and the money. Whoever has the money and the power has the opportunity to speak without having to worry about that.
Well, that's life in
That's
general.
life in general. But it is literally like that. So I think that the NFL culturally kind of makes it impossible or almost impossible for a black athlete in that league to be able to speak with the bravery and without knowing that, okay, my money's going to be good regardless of what I say. That doesn't happen. And you can in Major League Baseball.
Forget about it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
the whole time Julio's over there like,
Forget
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, forget about it.
You got anything to add to that, Daryl?
It makes so much sense. You have to understand also that being an NFL player, you're also expendable. Because there are maybe two, three other people on the depth chart who can do the same job you're doing. As opposed to basketball, one man can change the season.
Yep.
The loss of one player can change the season. So, they understand how much power they do have as basketball players. And once again, Colin Kaepernick, what was ironic with the whole Kaepernick situation is that Beats by Dre. You know that Colin Kaepernick was the first athlete on the Beats by Dre commercial. And the reason why, one of the reasons why Beats, Dr. Dre chose those athletes, your Richard Shermans, your Colin Kaepernicks, were because they were conscious and they were outspoken. And before the whole kneeling incident, no one really knew how outspoken Colin Kaepernick was, but a lot of
I know
guys.
a little bit because I haven't
Right.
seen him do
Well,
stuff.
those who are conscious knew, who Colin Kaepernick was. Unfortunately, once this incident took place and once Dre sold Beats to Apple, that was the first endorsement that Colin Kaepernick lost, was the Beats by Dre endorsement.
Yeah.
So that's ironic how how things work out.
Yeah.
Well, I know since he took in the stand, 67 people have lost their lives by police. Roughly 22% of those were African Americans. And for the whole year, we have 780 people have been killed by the police, and roughly 25% of those were people of color. So, it's also, we've seen that, people are being more aware of what's going on because of the situation. And you have some people who say they didn't know what was going on. Who was that? Somebody just made a statement. They told him to get out of the United States. I think you posted
Mike Dicker.
Yes. And then I read that
Old
article,
Uncle
and I read the article, and he said something about he was oblivious to what exactly he was talking
You're
talking
oblivious
about,
to what you
what's
choose to
going
be
on.
oblivious to.
And I was just like, so
That's
you're
essentially what we
oblivious
call
to
white
all
privilege.
the police shootings that have happened, not just this year, but in the last 3 years or so. It's been a big
Well,
increase.
in your America,
So-
where you don't have to worry about stuff like that, of course you wouldn't be aware, unless you choose to be aware.
Right.
It's choice. And where he sits, and the experience which he comes from, and he doesn't have that experience. He
But
doesn't
to
want to have
say
that
you
experience.
you are
White
not
privilege.
aware, that part I was just like,
Considering
say
who
what?
he's
Get
considering,
around, yeah.
considering who his colleagues have been, who he shared a table with at the worldwide leader of sports, I find that very hard to believe. You're right. But if you choose to take that route, that's because you choose to take that route. I find it kind of refreshing to know where
That he
people
was-
stand in their ignorance. Stand on your ignorance if that's what you feel you need to do. That's because where the education happens, and I will be happy to educate anyone that's that ignorant.
Yeah, I think you have to remember also that the consensus of white America, and a large percentage of them, is how dare you fight what we give you, like being black in America, being free, it should be a privilege for us. How dare you take offense to what we've given you? You have no right to speak up as a black man, as a black woman. You have no rights in America. You have privileges. How dare you even think
Right.
that you're equal?
but
So,
that's
you have to-
that main thing that when some of them are saying, well, if you don't like it here, leave. It's kind of like, oh, okay.
Well,
whoa.
you know what I tell them? While let me hitch a ride with you while you drop me off in Africa on your way to Europe. Get out from there.
Right, because technically most people who are in America now, if you go back in their history, their people were not from here. So I mean, to say that, it's kind of like you don't have no knowledge of history.
Let me tell you, that's a beautiful thing about ignorance. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful because when you share it, if I can get 2 or 3 people to feed into my ignorance, guess what? In America, you're good. Do you want it?
Reach, you have anything to add?
I mean, this it's just kind of the psychosis of America. Just this sense that, and people commonly misunderstand what white privilege is, but that's a very definition of it. To really not have to understand the challenges that marginalized communities face. So it's easy to say I don't have any. He's not at all familiar with some of the struggles that people in our communities
I
are facing.
changed it and said it's white
people.
male privilege, and the reason why I did that, but we might talk about that on another
Another
show.
discussion for
another show, yeah.
But
'cause
for the intents and purposes of this, I think we can just call it white.
well,
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely,
it was
yeah.
the officer who was just charged, female officer, and she's the first female one in the. I mean, there's been other female officers that have murdered people, but I mean, like the major one in the headlines, and I just thought that was ironic that Caucasian female would be one of the first ones to get charged, and I just thought, that's interesting. But that's why I said that's a whole nother.
And we're not there
subject.
yet. Like we don't know what ultimately will come of it. But you're right. That's an interesting point. But it's just like I said, being a part of a dominant narrative and not having to understand the plight of other people who are marginalized and aren't what's considered the norm in this country. That very much is a privilege. I mean, think about it. If that never had to cross your mind, if that's something you never had to commit any time or any energy to, how much freer would you be? How much lighter would you be emotionally and spiritually to not have to think about those things?
That's
So
true.
right, so that's something that we constantly contend with. That's something we constantly have to think about. Imagine, what kind of trauma that does to a person. I don't think people think about it in those terms.
Right. So what is your opinion, Rich? I know some people were breaking down the Star Spangled Banner, and most people, they just know that first little part of
Right.
it. They haven't thought about the whole rest of it and the breakdown. Some people saying, okay, they're not necessarily talking about slaves. They were talking about the British. The people that were fighting the British, and then there's that discrepancy. Okay, well, as an African American, they're not necessarily talking about you. I mean, it's just kind of like well, if you really, most people, it's funny, they don't know that it's 3 stanzas. You know what I'm saying? Like
4 in total.
Right.
In the third one, they're talking about colonial slaves. They were fighting as Marines. They were colonial Marines. They were fighting. They were slaves that had been freed. They were fighting with the British.
Right.
So that part of the song, you want to look it up and check it out.
Well,
that
I
particular
have it
stanza,
here in front of me, the whole thing.
it celebrates the defeat of men who had the audacity to oppose bondage.
You will not escape your death.
So
Right.
this is the banner that we're supposed to be saluting and respecting. And so this is kind of a microcosm of this whole conversation.
Right.
You're asking us to praise and honor the very thing that underscores our oppression in this country.
Mhm.
It's madness.
Yeah, but I just find that funny that we, everybody is told to stand up and sing that song, but half the people in America don't even know it.
Right.
If you randomly call some people, hey, I need you to sing the national anthem or something. How many celebrities they gonna do it? They mess it up and they chopped it up.
Well, I mean, it's really weird to me because having just gone to the Chiefs game yesterday, for those who know about the tradition at Arrowhead, when they in the home of the Braves, we say Chiefs.
Right.
How disrespectful is that? If we're gonna sit there and play the respectability card about standing at attention and honoring the flag, I don't know how many people I saw at club level going back and getting libations back there during the anthem.
Mhm.
I sat, and that was a
How
really,
many people was there that sat yesterday?
where in my section I was the only one that sat,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't 100% sure how that was gonna go. I mean, I put my hand over my heart, but I sat and I did not stand. It was a really interesting situation because I was surrounded. I was like probably the only black person in my section, and I was fully expecting to get read the riot, and
Nobody said anything.
no one said anything. The other thing I wanted to bring up about the relationship between sports and patriotism. This whole idea of intersectionality of patriotism and athletics, especially in our major sports, one, if you go and soccer is the #1 sport in the world. with the exception of the World Cup or the Olympics, the only time national anthems are played are those two events. Those two events are every 4 years.
Wow.
At club level, they don't start the games with any type of national anthem. We are the only country that does that. And I don't know when that
I
started.
have to think about that.
I don't know if actually when that actually started. If someone wants to hit us up and let us know, that would be great.
Right.
Yeah, Google.
Call it 816-599-6893.
But
Appreciate you
also,
calling.
and then also the idea of the military and the relationship with the NFL. A lot of people didn't realize that the NFL was actually making the military pay for veterans to be on the field.
Yes.
During the
I
national
True.
anthem.
They were paying them? How much?
Yes.
They had to give that money back once it came to light.
Oh,
But yes,
like, how much
for
were they
a long
paying
time,
them?
since 9/11,
Mhm.
specifically since 9/11, there was money that was getting paid to the NFL by the armed forces.
Mm.
So whenever you go to a game and they say, we want to salute, Lieutenant First Class so-and-so,
Right.
that's money that the armed forces paid the NFL.
Oh.
And it wasn't until
Like the NFL doesn't
it
have
wasn't
enough
until
money,
John McCain
but-
brought it to attention and said, look, this is not right. We shouldn't have, the armed forces shouldn't have to pay any
Yeah.
type of corporate entity any kind of money to salute the troops. And then it became obviously a PR issue. So
Right.
of course they gave the money back.
Yeah.
But
I know, yeah, I did not know that.
But yeah, sports and politics, sports and patriotism, it's a racket. I mean, for all intents and purposes, the money is the issue. I mean,
I found that crazy that they were paying them
Yeah.
for that.
The last 3 years, I think they made about $5.5 million off of it.
It's big
Mhm.
business.
And people don't realize, like,
I didn't.
players weren't even on the field during the national anthem up until 2009. So this is less than 10 years old.
yeah.
Like, players weren't on the field at all. They were in the locker rooms during the national anthem. This started, and they used it really as a way to kind of push and promote military enrollment. That was part of the military's goal for
okay.
using it,
Okay.
was to really kind of push military enrollment at that time. So yeah, it's not even, less than 10 years ago is when this started. Players were never on the field before. They were in the locker rooms during the national anthem.
You know what?
Learn something
It's
new
not
every
about
day.
it's not about patriotism. America's a business. It's not about. It's nothing
Yeah.
to do with it. The military has nothing to do with brotherhood or anything else. That's one thing I learned. 16 years of service, 17 years of service in the military. I went on a Sally Jesse Raphael show as a drill sergeant, and I had my military hat on. In the middle of the emblem in the middle of my hat was a Marine Corps Eagle Globe and Anchor. It signifies that you're a Marine, and once a Marine, always a Marine. You're a Marine for life. I earned that. 13 weeks on Paris Island, South Carolina.
I
They
know
call
the
it-
Marines is the toughest
Right.
one to make it through, so
Right.
salute you to that for that.
And the episode aired on a Monday. Wednesday, I received a fax from the Pentagon telling me to cease and desist of wearing that Eagle Globe and Anchor. That I went to war and so on and so forth. And the only way
From
I
the
can wear
Pentagon?
it from the Pentagon. The only way I can wear my Eagle Globe and Anchor that I served my country for, gave my life for, served and sacrificed my family for, was I had to pay the Marine Corps to wear that Eagle Globe and Anchor.
Ooh.
That was the day I lost respect.
Wow.
That was the day for me. Being young and naive and being a soldier, being a Marine, you do what you're told. Like I said, I was always conscious, but it didn't strike me.
Now that's
deep.
crazy that
That-
they
yes, I-
told you and said
I
take
received
it
a
off.
fax message in Pennsylvania Avenue, the Sally Jesse Raphael Studios.
I was gonna say the address
Yeah,
to where I
yes.
was, whatever.
I believe that was a life altering. I looked at my country
Differently.
different.
I bet.
Different. I looked at my beloved Marine Corps different. And I realized, America it's a business. It's a business. It's uncool to be anti-patriotic today, but let enough people that they admire do it.
Mm.
The whole temperature is going to change. It's all about making money in America.
The second song we're playing, you are listening to Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. And the second song we're going to play for the hour is called Mama Said by Reach again. Reach, why don't you tell us the background on this song?
This song is really just a tribute to my mother, to talk about what she's representing to my life. Really just a song in honor of her.
And you are listening to the Cascade Media Hour. If you would like to call in and add to the conversation, you can call in at 816-599-6893.
I'm Ivy BB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out. I'm BB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out. I'm BB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out. I'm BB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out. I'm BB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out. I'm BB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out. I'm BB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out. I'm BB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out.